Hello and welcome to another episode of Mad Dialogue with me, Michelle.
Me, Skyla.
I hope everybody is doing really, really well. And before we get going with this week's episode, I just want to give a shout out to our new subscribers. Thank you so much for joining the Mad family. We are so happy to have you. And without further ado, I'm going to highlight what this episode's about, but I'm really handing it over to Skyla from that point, and you'll understand why in a moment. But basically, I was having a conversation with Skyla the other day and my son Neo and his partner, and it came to my attention that they receive racism, but not just from white people, but from Black people also. And I was really, really surprised to hear that. Obviously, I'm not biracial, so I wouldn't know other than them telling me. But apparently, this is a thing. Now, this is just my opinion. I hear a lot of the times that Black people can't be racist. Now, I don't understand that statement. I think it's because that people try to say because we are the minority that so therefore we can only receive racism, but we can't be racist to any other race, which is nonsense to me, because at the end of the day, if you have, no matter what color you are, if you have an issue with somebody because of the color of their skin, then that makes you racist. I'm sorry if I'm saying something that is wrong or doesn't make sense or whatever, then please drop a comment.
Well, by definition, that is what it means.
If you're watching us on YouTube, and that's my thing. So I think that's a really silly statement when people say that Black people can't be racist, because yes, we can. Yes, we can. So on that note, I'm going to hand it over to Skyla.
See, from my perspective, it's not so direct that like I can say I've actually like, because it's a fine line. I wouldn't say that anyone has been directly racist towards me, but there's been energy, there's been vibes, there's been things that, what's the word, like is undercover discriminatory, you know what I mean? Like no one's actually like looked at me and said, oh, I don't like you because you're mixed race, in it. Like that's never happened. But from growing up and being around white children, being around Black children, I've experienced vibes from both sides, you know what I mean? More so from my experience, Black children, but it's more in the sense of like, never has anyone said like anything directly about my skin tone, but it's like certain like conversations you'd be having, like if you'd like be paying input, and I couldn't even give an example, but it's like, you know, like it's like inside joke vibes, you know what I mean? Like people will kind of be looking at each other a certain way and like will be making you feel left out and excluded. And the only reasoning I could put it down to was because, oh, is it because I'm mixed? You know what I mean? Even sometimes when I'd be like singing certain songs and I'd see like how people were watching me, like they were judging me in a sense, and then it would make me feel shame, like, oh my gosh, like, and when I say certain songs, I mean like, you know, reggae tunes, like tunes that, you know, would be more put towards Black people, and I could see how these youths were looking at me. With white youths, it wasn't more of a thing of racism because I'm mixed. It wasn't a thing of they're discriminating on me because of that side, but more so just because I was Black. So that's where the difference is for me, is like, I will never understand why from the Black children I ever received that, because in my eyes I'm like, but I'm you know what I mean? Like I'm part of you guys, because the racism I like what I will call racism from the white children was because I'm Black. So it didn't really make sense to me. But then also growing up, I had a lot more white friends because of how I was made to feel, and it wasn't like every Black child I interacted with that it was like this, of course not. But there was enough that, like, you know, I felt it, you know what I mean?
And did that make you question your identity?
Never. No. Because I'm not being funny, I'm the sort of person that I've always known myself, and I've always said, and the way I put it point blank is, if we were in slavery, where would I be? You know what I mean?
You'd be a house nigga.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. But I would never be the house owner. Just put it like that. You know what I mean?
I think I'd have been in the field. I'm just being so for real.
But either like, I've never once doubted my blackness. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
and it's funny because I've even had white people say to me, "Oh, you're not as dark as you think." Okay, but mate, you fucking burn the minute you step out and make contact with the sun, but you want to be talking about my shade, my skin tone.
Mm.
Who are you? You know what I mean? Yes, I can look at myself right now and see I'm hella light, but then the minute I go on holiday, do I burn or do I tan? You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
not a white person.
Mm.
And if I really had to sit here and pick a side right now, yeah, I would pick that I'm black. You know what I mean? Regardless either of how other children have made me feel growing up, because deep down I know what I am, and also not in bad way, but I came from a black woman.
Right.
You know what I mean? And yeah, I just yeah.
That's interesting. I was going to ask you something else, but it slipped my mind. I'm trying to think what I was going to say. So, okay, I hear what you're saying, but have you spoken to any other, person like peers or whatever that are biracial and how they feel,
Well,
how they're received? Is their experience the same as yours, or?
it's not that I've ever spoken to anyone. Like I can think in my head like how many biracial kids I know. Like I can think of like two that like I actually like interacted with and ever kind of came up with like any race conversations, but the majority of them, that what I could gauge from their responses is that they look at themselves like a separate category. They are mixed. You know what I mean? One girl
Okay.
you said, about saying the N-word, for instance, she said, "Oh well, we're not black, like we're mixed." You know what I mean? And I don't know, like I understand people like that, and I'd never take it away from them because that's what they identify as. But like, I think everybody just has like a very different viewpoint, like each and every mixed like biracial person.
And would you say then that it's different again for biracial children whose mothers are black and biracial children whose mothers are white?
Yeah, I believe so. Well, okay, this is the thing. I think it's like, because some people can be like raised more predominantly by their father, some could be raised more by their mother. So I don't think it like stands in every situation. But yes, you can see a difference in somebody and make the judgment of whether or not their mother and like father, if they're black or white. You know what I mean? Like you can kind of just guess. And I'm not saying every time, but especially as mixed children, I think it's quite easy to and it's not that there's anything wrong with it, but it's just the same way that you can see how different races have different like culture and different ways, like they learn things. You know what I mean? Like how you can kind of like you can see a difference sometimes. And like when I'll talk to white children and how they deal with like their parents and how they just like go through certain situations, it's different. You know what I mean? So of course it's still going to stand that even though someone's biracial, if they are raised by predominantly white people or predominantly black people, like you're going to see a difference in their characteristics. It's the same way when a little white child is adopted by a black family and then they grow up and people would say they act black. And once again, it's like, okay, what does that mean? But you know what that means. You know what I mean? Like there is just certain
culture that they've adopted. It's the same. I remember watching, I think it was Dr. Phil. I'm going way back. And there was a black girl on there who identified as white.
Don't even remind me of that girl.
She identified.
Because I think that's when it gets a bit ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think
especially when she's going out into everyday society. Nobody is perceiving her as a white woman.
And I'm not being funny. It's the fact that she also further went to be disrespectful to black people, which is what jars me. If you want to identify as what you want to identify as, go ahead. But do not be then being disrespectful. And I'm not even going to say to your people because you're not.
Yeah.
But don't be disrespectful to these people that you don't want to class yourself with, so to speak. I think that's so ridiculous. But also in the grand scheme of things, no matter what people say they want to be identified as, unfortunately, society will just identify you as what they see you as.
True.
And obviously that differs with every single person. But I know when a whole lot of people look at me, they're not thinking, oh, this girl's biracial, she's half white, she's half black. No, they just see me as a black woman. You know what I mean? And then, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what I'd say. If I wanted to be like, no, I'm biracial, don't call me black. You know what I mean? Because it's like...
But on that note as well, there's also, I've seen like videos on social media where the girl in question, she is biracial, but she looks white. Yes. And she takes offense to the fact that people don't believe that she is biracial. Do you know what I mean? And I mean no disrespect to the young lady, because when I looked at her, she did.
Yeah. See, and I think
look
that's where
white,
the difference
you know?
is as well. If somebody's telling you, hey, I'm like, you know, if you're making that assumption and they're like, hey, no, I'm not white, I'm biracial, then that should just be that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You shouldn't have to be like, oh, pull up pictures of your parents, oh, this, oh, that. You know what I mean? Because that's also the other side to it. I think people are way too concerned about other people and just so many things where it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, like, what does anyone's skin color mean? You know what I mean?
But this is it again. You know, it should really be about the person's heart. And I've said this a million times, you know, a person's color has never and will never offend me.
Yeah.
How they deal with me as an individual, now that will, you know, that will, you know, depict and how we go forward there, so to speak. But, you know, I never look at a person's skin color and that's an issue for me
at all.
That, you know, that's crazy to me.
This is what I'm saying, and that's why it makes me laugh then when I do go through situations. Like, do you know what? And I'm gonna be so for real. Even up until recently, you know what I mean? And it's funny to me also the switch up that people have. Like, I don't know what changes their viewpoint. I guess whether they like you or not, like, as well. That's what they base their opinion on, because
exactly judge a person from their heart,
but I've experienced
their color.
No, but I've experienced girls that have made me feel like a bit of an outcast within not even their groups, but just, you know, from them being black and whatever. I felt excluded from that. But then when they discovered later down the line that, oh, they don't mind me, then suddenly I'm in the circle now. You know what I mean there? And that I won't understand, because, you know, if you don't like me, that's one thing, but then don't bring race into it, you know what I mean, and make me feel away for that. And it's also another thing as well where it's like where colorist comes into it.
I was just about to say that,
even taken away from me being mixed in, if you're just going to say, okay, like, as a black female, that I'm on the lighter side, that has caused issues for me sometimes, where it's like,
I think there's jealousy.
Yeah, and I hate to say it, because then it makes me go, oh my gosh, so yeah, people are jealous. But it's not that. But that's the only explanation I could put it down to, because I've never been the sort of person to, I don't know how to explain it. You know how there is like these light-skinned women who do go like, oh yeah, like we're nicer, we're länger.
No. I've heard your brothers make reference to that.
Yeah, and because I've never been that way inclined. Like, I didn't even know that was a thing until it was brought to my attention.
I hear you.
That's why it does bother me when I do see darker skinned girls go in a certain way, because I'm looking at them. I'm not even thinking at the start it's coming from a place of jealousy, because I do look at them like, bro, you're so gorgeous. Like, how could I be like that when I look at my mum and my sister? You know what I mean? Like, It's not even a thought. So it does bother me as well, where it's not even a case of like, oh, because you're mixed. Like, it's seriously just like, is it, how can you, this is why it pisses me off when people say black people can't be racist, because that's racism within your own race.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That is just because of the spectrum of how light someone is. But I beg, let me go stay in Jamaica for 6 months, yeah, and come chat to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But, especially with the humidity with your hair, you'd definitely be rocking that afro by the end of the week.
Right, you know, so.
Well, you know what? You've educated me today. It's been, you know what I mean? I'm enlightened. And like I said, and I feel like I was a little bit ignorant to a certain degree, because all along I'm feeling that, you know, yes, I know you've experienced racism to a degree, but I'm thinking it's just from, I say white people, but it's not just white people. I've had other races be racist towards me. So, you know, but when it's your own, it's disheartening, and because you're thinking, where do we run to for safe haven?
Exactly,
like,
but it does bother me more when it's black people too, because that is a side.
And you know why? And you know why it annoys me as well? Because I'm just going to say it, okay? There is many times I come across adverts on social media, and it's been advertised by black women that have a darker skin tone, which I think is beautiful at the end of the day, gorgeous. But they're advertising bleaching products. So
and
is
when
that the issue
but people
there?
don't
Is
even
it
look good when they
because
bleach their skin.
not at
They look
all?
grey and sick and not good, and your
It
skin don't look nice. Please
because
stop it,
yeah,
man, because your
because
skin's beautiful.
they're taking out all of the nutrients, the goodness out of their skin when they're using those products. So is that another reason? Is it because you're jealous? Because you know, why else would you be
if anyone knew how much I
bleaching
hated how light I am.
bleaching your skin? Now, don't get me wrong. I thought about bleaching my elbows because I feel like they're
That's different. That's how
they're a little bit
pigment,
dark.
like,
Do you know what I'm
when people
saying?
be
But
doing that of any
but
race, but
bleaching my whole skin, no, I'm
just
good.
sounds
Like
insane to me.
I'm really happy and proud
And that's
of my
me
skin
considering
tone.
going to a tan bed.
During the winter, I think I look a little pale and peaky, and I long for the sun so that I am even darker. Do you know what I'm saying? So make it make sense in that respect. You know, you're hating what you want to be. Think about that.
Well, isn't that most time
Think
when
about
people are
that.
hating?
Yeah. Anyway, do you have anything else to say, my darling?
Yeah, I think everyone should just love their skin, man, no matter
Yeah.
what it is. Like,
And your eye
and
color. Sorry, that's just another thing that came to me because I see a lot of people doing that.
But I just think, just love everybody, love yourself, man. Because do you know what? Deep down, I've kind of figured out. Most times, still, if there's something about you that somebody else wants, you know what I mean. So you should just always love and appreciate yourself to the fullest because it's never worth it. I love everyone else. Peace and love, guys.
Ashe. But for me, it's a thing where unconditional love has no color and it knows no bounds. Do you know what I'm saying? So love
Thy neighbor.
Yeah, and love the skin you're in. And on that note, I think we'll leave it here this week. As always, I am sending an abundance of love and light, and it's goodbye from me, Michelle, and goodbye from Skyla.
Bye.
Bye.